the sweet morning drink, and the shock in a peaceful morning. Have you ever started your day with a glass of fruit juice? A cold, sweet glass of orange juice, sparkling in the morning sun. You take a sip and think to yourself, it's healthy, right? I understand that. I used to believe it too. I'm a brain specialist with over 30 years of experience at the Memorial Health Hospital system in Florida. I've seen thousands of elderly patients, people walking into the clinic with peaceful smiles. But inside, their brains were speaking up. Some told me they often forgot their grandkids' names. Some said they had morning headaches, felt foggy, and couldn't focus. And most of them thought, maybe it's just age. Until one morning, when everything seemed normal, yet it opened a door that made me question everything I'd ever taught. A man sat across from me, eyes gazing into the distance. He talked about his morning, coffee, the newspaper, and a glass of orange juice like always. But that day, he forgot the way home. He stopped in the street. Looked around. Couldn't remember where he lived. I'll never forget that look in his eyes, confused, worried, and afraid. That was the day I started tracing everything back. And the first thing I did wasn't check his brain, it wasn't an MRI, but simply asking, "What did you drink this morning?" The answer was more familiar than you might think. And from that answer, I began to uncover a truth most of us are overlooking every single morning, maybe. That sweet morning drink is quietly hurting your brain. Mr. Bill, and the moment he forgot his grandchild in the middle of a crowded street that day, his name was Bill, 68 years old, living in the suburbs of Tampa, Florida. He didn't come to see me because of headaches, nor because of dizziness. He came simply because something feels wrong, but I can't name it. His voice was soft, but I heard every word. He said, "I had just dropped my granddaughter off at school. Everything seemed fine. But when I stopped the car at the intersection, I looked at her and forgot her name. My granddaughter. The one who always sleeps on my couch every weekend. And this morning, I looked at her. And I just couldn't remember." He paused. Tried to smile. Then his eyes welled up. That was the first time I felt lost in my own home. I didn't feel alarmed. I saw something very familiar. Because he wasn't the first person to sit in front of me and say they couldn't remember something so close to their heart. And I began to ask. Not about medical conditions. I asked about his morning routine. He smiled and shared it like a habit. I wake up at 6. Have a glass of orange juice, open the paper, and read the local news. Then I make breakfast for my granddaughter. Nothing unusual. Nothing scary. Until I asked, "What did you eat?" He answered, "Nothing yet. I usually drink the juice first and eat later." And that was the moment I realized. Maybe what was making his brain feel unsteady every morning wasn't fading memory, but something quietly damaging the blood vessels in his brain, from the very first sip. Sweet juice, and the brain's desperate attempt to cope. I don't blame Mr. Bill. Because if it were me, not a doctor, but a father, a grandfather, I would have chosen orange juice in the morning too, as a good, sweet way to start the day. But the sad truth is, our brain doesn't work the way sweetness makes us believe. The brain is the most energy-consuming organ in the body. It makes up less than 2% of body weight, yet it needs more than 20% of our blood and oxygen every second to function. And to run well, the brain doesn't need sugar rushing in like a flood. It needs a steady, consistent flow, like gentle rain watering a garden. When you drink sugary juice on an empty stomach, the sugar goes straight into the bloodstream, causing a sudden spike. The pancreas panics and produces insulin to pull the sugar down. But insulin doesn't work alone. It comes with slight blood vessel constriction, and this unstable swing causes the blood flow to the brain to become uneven. At that moment, the brain is no longer being watered steadily. It enters a state of mild ischemia, reduced blood flow, leading to fatigue, fogginess, and lower focus. For older adults, that's enough to make memory start to slip. Just a little. And you might forget how to get home. Or forget who you meant to call when holding the phone. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm sharing, as a real friend, who wants to remind you that tiny repeated habits, done over and over, can one day exhaust the brain's ability to cope. And I'm not saying you must give up all the sweet things you love. I'm simply inviting you to consider another kind of drink, lighter, gentler, more brain-friendly. And right after this, I'll tell you about one drink that I've seen help many older patients begin to reset their nervous system each morning. A small change that begins to calm everything, from the inside out. My recommended solution, a morning brain-supporting drink, simple, sugar-free, anti-inflammatory. I still remember the morning I tried mixing a different drink for myself, right after meeting Mr. Bill. Not coffee. Not bottled juice. But a drink that made me feel like I was whispering to my brain, okay, let's start a little gentler today. I want to invite you to try a recipe with me. No need to buy anything expensive. No need to spend much time. Just 3 ingredients. And the same familiar cup you use every morning. First, a cup of warm water, about 300 milliliters. Not cold, not too hot. Just gently warm enough to awaken your blood vessels, like opening the curtains to welcome the morning sun, calmly, not in a rush. Second, 1 teaspoon of matcha powder, a type of green tea rich in antioxidants called L-theanine. This helps calm the brain, reduce mild inflammation, and improve alertness in a sustainable way. No sugar needed. That slightly bitter taste is how you train your brain to adapt. Third, 1 spoon of ground flaxseed, rich in omega-3s, to nourish the brain cell membranes. They act like bricks protecting your nervous system from morning inflammation. If you don't have flaxseed, you can substitute it with 4 to 5 crushed walnuts or a slice of ripe avocado. That's it. I call this the memory drink, because many people have had it each morning, and started to feel their heads no longer heavy by mid-morning. No longer sleepy after 9 a.m. No more fumbling to remember their grandchild's name. I'm not saying it's a miracle. But it's a beginning. Like choosing not to flood a garden, but to water it gently, drop by drop, evenly, and just enough. That garden is your brain. And instead of memorizing dozens of complex rules, you only need to remember this: start your morning with a drink that respects your brain. Not shocking. Not constricting. Not disorienting. Just a gentle good morning to yourself, every day. Dolores, the woman who returned to her kitchen with a steady mind and hands, the first person I thought of when I tried that drink, wasn't my most serious patient, but a woman I cherish like a mother. Her name is Dolores. 74 years old. Living in Sarasota, Florida. A kind face, a soft voice, always smiling. But the last time I saw her, she wasn't smiling anymore. She said, "I no longer dare to cook in the mornings." I asked why. She hesitated, then sighed softly, "Because my hands tremble. I spilled boiling water twice last week. And I forgot to turn off the stove when boiling eggs. By the time my daughter came home, the house was filled with a burnt smell." I didn't blame her. I just asked, "What do you usually eat in the morning?" And she said, "I usually drink store-bought grape juice. Sometimes orange. I saw ads saying it's good for the heart. Then I eat bread afterward." I remember handing her a small note. Wrote briefly, "Warm water, matcha, flaxseed. No sugar. Drink before eating. Every morning. Just 14 days. She smiled at me and said, "Then I'll try it tomorrow morning." The first week, nothing remarkable. But by the second week, she sent me a short message: "I just made veggie soup for my grandson and didn't forget to turn off the stove." No drama. No fireworks. But to me, that was the most beautiful message of the day. A few weeks later, she said, "Now I get up earlier and make breakfast again for my family. And I remember to turn on the stove after turning on the faucet. I don't need sticky notes on the fridge anymore." We didn't need any fancy brain scans. Because the change showed in every action she did, with steady hands and calm eyes. She said, "That drink not only made my mind clearer, but it made me feel like I was taking care of myself. You know, some things don't have to be big to bring change. You just have to be willing to try. And I hope you will give yourself that chance. Because if Dolores could do it, then you, with all the love you have for your family, you can do it too. For yourself." Fruit juice, seemingly healthy, but silently constricting the brain. I know. You might still be thinking, but fruit is good. I'm not drinking soda or fizzy drinks. And I completely understand you. Because honestly, that's what we were taught. Fruit is natural. Fruit is full of vitamins. Fruit is a better choice than pastries. I'm not denying that. But the problem isn't the fruit. The problem is how we treat the fruit, when we strip away its fiber, its natural form, and gulp down 5 to 6 pieces in a drink that takes less than 10 seconds. Did you know that a 250 milliliters glass of grape juice can contain nearly 8 teaspoons of natural sugar? More than a can of soda. And when that much sugar enters your body on an empty stomach, with no fat, no fiber to slow absorption, it becomes a light but consistent shock to the brain every morning. It won't make you faint. It won't cause sharp pain. Just a small wave, enough to make your blood vessels constrict, enough to make you pause for a second when recalling someone's name, enough to make your head feel slightly heavy when shopping at 10 a.m. And the most frustrating part is, because it doesn't feel serious, we don't question it. It's like watering a plant with water lightly mixed with pesticide. On day 1, the plant is still green. By day 7, the leaves slightly fade. And by week 3, you realize you've been doing something wrong. I don't tell you this to make you afraid of fruit. I still advise my patients to eat fruit every day, but eat, not drink. And if you enjoy a morning drink, try replacing it with the one I just shared with you. A gentle glass, no shocking response, just enough to keep your brain alert, stable, and calm, the way you truly want to begin your day. Don't blame yourself if you once thought fruit juice was good. Because I used to think so too, until I saw far too many people walk into my clinic, holding a fruit juice in hand, and telling me they couldn't remember where they'd left their keys. The 14-day journey, and the brain's quiet signs of recovery when I guide patients to replace their morning juice with a brain-friendly drink. I never promise anything magical. I don't say you'll remember everything in 2 days. I don't claim your memory will bounce back like when you were 30. I simply say, give your brain 14 days of gentler care, and listen to how it responds. And here's what I've seen. Not just in Dolores, but in dozens of others, ages 60 to over 80. On day 3, they say, "This morning I didn't feel a strain after waking up. Just a slight feeling, but very real, like their head wasn't buzzing as usual." By day 7, a patient who used to post sticky notes all over the house to remember tasks said, "I'm starting to remember little things without needing reminders." They still stayed cautious. But the smile started to return. Not because they stopped forgetting, but because they believed recovery was still possible. On day 10, someone told me they no longer felt sleepy at 10 a.m. They even reorganized the garage they'd avoided for months. And by day 14, I often hear the same sentence, "Something is returning in my head." Gentle. Not crystal clear. But I feel more present in my own life. It's not a strong gust blowing open the doors of the brain. It's the return of a soft breeze, morning sunlight, enough to gently warm up those sleeping corners of memory. And if you ask me, how do I know my brain is recovering? I won't show you a chart. I'll simply ask, do you still forget where you put your keys? Do you still mix up Monday and Friday? Do you still post sticky notes all over your house? If your answers start to change, maybe your brain is thanking you. Because sometimes, the brain doesn't need harsh medicine. It just needs you to stop hurting it every morning. And instead, be gentler, even just a little. Remember these 3 simple steps each night, so your brain feels cared for in the morning. I know. When we reach 60, 70, even something as small as remembering what to drink each morning can feel like a challenge. Not because we're weaker, but because our minds are already juggling too much: medication schedules, doctor appointments, caring for grandkids, and even the quiet fear no one sees, the fear of slowly forgetting ourselves. That's why I'm not asking you to remember more in the morning. I'm simply inviting you to rearrange your evening a little. Just 3 steps. Takes less than 5 minutes. But the next morning, you'll feel your brain being cared for from the very first moment. Step 1. Prepare the ingredients the night before. Take a clean glass and leave it on the kitchen counter or your drink table. Next to it, place a small packet of matcha powder, unsweetened, for daily use. A small jar of ground flax seeds, or a few shelled walnuts. A slice of ripe avocado. You can keep it in a sealed container in the fridge. Just seeing these things in the morning means you don't have to decide anything. You simply do what you do every day. You know, sometimes it's not hard tasks that exhaust us, it's having to make too many choices the moment we open our eyes. And if we let the night handle that part, the morning becomes much gentler. Step 2. Lace your water glass where it's easy to see. I often tell my patients to put their warm water glass by the bedside or on a table next to the couch. Because in the morning, we tend to avoid moving around. If you see the glass there, you'll remember to drink. And your brain will receive its first message of the day: you are loved. Let your eyes meet that glass of water before your phone or the news. That's how you give peace to your mind, before the world gets noisy. Step 3. Write a small message to yourself. I have a patient, Mrs. Sylvia, 73 years old. She writes a small note and sticks it next to her glass of water. On it, she simply writes, "Today is a good day for my memory." She says, "I don't need anyone to remind me." That one sentence is enough to start my day with more ease. If you want, you can write a different line. As long as it's your voice speaking to you, before the outside world rushes in. I believe that when you remind yourself with such loving words, your brain listens. And sometimes, that's the deepest kind of healing, not from medicine, but from your inner gentleness. You see, change doesn't always come from trying harder. It can come from creating a softer environment for yourself. Tomorrow morning, if you're not forced to rush through choices between coffee, juice, or toast. If everything's already ready, you'll make better choices more easily. And your brain will thank you for it. Water your brain's garden each morning with a gentle drink. I'm not asking you to change everything after just one video. I'm only hoping that tomorrow morning, when you get out of bed, you'll see the glass you prepared the night before. And you'll smile. Because you know you just did something kind for yourself. Just one small change: pause the sweet juice glass in the morning, replace it with a gentle drink, warm water, matcha, flaxseed. Take 5 minutes each night to prepare. Write a loving reminder for your memory. All of that isn't the miracle cure. But it's gentle, steady drops silently watering your brain's garden, every day. You'll notice a lighter head when you wake, less fatigue after breakfast, better focus mid-morning, no more fogginess or brief confusion, and most of all, you'll start to remember who you are, and how your mornings used to feel, because memory doesn't just disappear. It fades slowly from the little things we overlook. But if we begin again with one small shift, it can also come back, through these very same gentle morning drinks. I've always believed, your brain isn't broken. It's just waiting for you to treat it a little more kindly. If you found these thoughts helpful, please like the video so I know you're here. Comment yes if you're ready to try a change tomorrow, even just once. And if you have a loved one who's aging, forgetful, or tired each morning, share this video with them. Because sometimes, one small action from you can preserve an entire memory for someone else. Don't forget to follow the Thrive 60 Plus channel, where I'll keep sharing small but meaningful things to help you live more clearly, more fully, after 60. Thank you for listening. And I wish you a peaceful morning in your very own brain's garden.